Okay, we're going to continue on with the public strategic planning.
Can I go out this way? Yes, sir. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Okay, this is the strategic planning for May 15, 2023. I call to order. But then you take a roll call, Mr. Clerk, or is it just a public meeting? All right, very good. Ms. Scott?
We're good? Okay. All right. Thank you. Through you. So after each recurring federal census, the city is required to analyze and redraw ward boundaries pursuant to the results of those census. We were here a couple months ago giving or providing the committee with initial results and some potential draft options. So that was about 2 months ago. We've had the website available. So the purpose tonight is just kind of to bring these options back before the committee again so that we may possibly be ready to request consideration at the next strategic planning meeting so that we can continue moving forward with this process. We do have Doug Johnson here tonight. He is a consultant that has been working on preparing data reports and these mapping tools. He has identified 4 possible solutions. The changes that are being proposed are very minimal. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to him so he can provide you with some of these, with this information.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. It's a pleasure to be with you again. Again, I'm Doug Johnson. As a quick refresher, the rules are after each census, at most, there can be a 10% difference between the largest and the smallest council wards. And as you can see by the map that's on the screen now, this gives each ward number and then the 2020 census population for that ward, and then the percentage that it is above or below the what we call the ideal or the target population of 7,522. You can see 2 and 6 are more than 5% under that target number. 1 is under by about 3.3%, and then 3 and 5 are the largest ones at 4.5 and 4.79%. So to be in compliance with federal law, we have to bring that difference between the largest and smallest within 10%. So to comply with law, 2 and 6 need to grow. They need to pick up a little bit of territory, and 5 needs to shrink. And by trading amongst those three, we'll be within the 10% range. The other option that I'll talk about in a moment is 1 and 3. We can trade population where 1 would pick up a little bit of 3's population. It would bring those closer to balance, make it more likely that in 10 years they would still be balanced rather than having an expectation of that difference would continue to grow over the decade. So between 2, 5, and 6, there needs to be a change. And then between 1 and 3, there's the council's option to be a change that would bring those closer to balance. 4 and 7 are essentially fine as they are. They're each over by 2.9 and 2.6%, which is more than close enough to the balance. So in balancing 2, 5, and 6, we have 2 options for you that we've labeled A and B. We'll go down to the next map. In option A, up in what's the northwest corner of 5, actually just west of us, as we stand here today at City Hall. If we go across West Avenue, from West Avenue over to the river, below the railroad tracks would go into 6, and that would bring 6 up to the desired population number. And then north of the railroad, up to the river, that's currently in 5 would go into 2, and that would balance 2 and 5. So that small area of change would balance all 3 wards. The other approach would be to keep that area that we're talking about united and move it all into 6. So this would be option B. Move into the zoom. There we go. And the area we're talking about from the river over to the railroad and 3rd would go all into 6. That would make 6 a little too big, and 2 would still be short. So then up in the north, 2 would pick up just 2 blocks south of the freeway there from 6. So that would be option A, would just divide the area just to the west of us here. Option B would put all the area to the west of us into 6 and bring 2 down to just the 2 blocks. Over on the eastern side of town, again, this is not a required change, but it is a change that you could do to bring them closer together. We're just on the east side of on the west side of the freeway. You can see the red dashes on this map. That's where the current ward lines go up the freeway and then over and around on coming back down on Abbey. Just to orient you, if you know the area, inside that area where the arrow is pointing is where Abbeywood, the big Abbeywood community is. And so it would take that area and move it from its current Ward 3 into Ward 1. And moving that small area, University doesn't go through, but it's roughly the extension of University, north up to and including Abbeywood, would then bring 1 and 3 closer to balance as well. So there are the 4 maps because we're looking at A or B on the west and 1 or 2 on the east. And the 2 decisions can be made independently. So we have A1, B1, A2, B2. On the website, there is this map where you can see it in more detail than the PDF. If you zoom in on one map, they all zoom in together. So for example, as we zoom in on the changes, you can see A and A are both the same. If we scroll down, you can see B would put this whole area into Ward 6. And as we zoom in up here, you can see the change up at Cortland, where the line would drop down from the freeway to Cortland. Similarly, over on the east side, you can see in option 1, the line stays where it is along the red line, and in option 2, that small area moves into Ward 3. So those are the 2 changes. Again, we're not asking for action today. Happy to answer any questions you may have. And this, of course, these documents you have before you, and this website is available if you want to zoom in and look in more detail. One thing, just one feature I will point out if you do go in later, this button here for base maps. It's a weird title, but this lets you switch, and you can see satellite imagery, or if you scroll down to OpenStreetMap, it'll label the house numbers and everything, so you can really see the detail of the proposed changes and the options before you. So I believe we're going to bring this back for action, but I'm happy to answer any questions you would have at this time.
Mr. Sierra?
Through you, Mr. President. So this was done from the 2020 census?
That's
And
correct. Yes.
this does not take into account any of the housing starts in any of those areas that have happened since then and now?
Correct.
So Ward 3, I think, grew, and Ward 6 grew. I mean, are we going to be doing this again in 10 years and going backwards?
Correct. So the federal law and the courts understand that things change over the course of the decade. So they only require that you balance using the census data, and then the following census, you would then update the lines. They don't require you to change every 2 years or anything like that.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions in regards to what was being proposed here tonight? I know the last time we met, we had some technical difficulties, but I think this really kind of expands it a little bit. I know that Ms. Davis is in here to kind of weigh in on maybe some of her concerns with these districts changing a little bit with reference to that. But I think getting back to Ms. Scott in regards to any questions that have, so that we can kind of make a decision at the next meeting, I think is vital and critical for moving forward over and through there. So there's different options that we can all choose to and look at. They don't seem significant in change. I think Ms. Mitchell has really taken on a lot in regards to that over there, but she can handle it. But really, please encourage your conversations with Ms. Director Scott. She'll forward it on, and then we'll have moving forward. Does anybody else have any questions on what's being presented here tonight? Mr. Schneider?
I'd just like to say, I do think the Ward 1 and 3 balancing is probably important, especially with, like Jack had mentioned, the growth that we have in Ward 3 that has happened since the 2020 census. So obviously, we're going to have to redo these all again because all of our growth is to the southern, western, and far eastern edges of the city. So we are going to have to make adjustments down the road, which we know that. But I do think that the 1 and 3 is a good idea.
Philippian?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President. Are you referring to option B2, Mr. Schneider? Okay. Since that is Ward 1 moving into Ward 3, I guess I'd want to know ward to ward what Mr. Corbin would think about that, since that concerns Ward 3, ward to ward.
You're referring to draft B2, Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Corbin, B2, Mr. Lippian's posed a question whether, just for conversation tonight, your concerns, if you have any.
Through you, Mr. President, I have looked at all of these maps, and on a ward-to-ward basis, I would have no issue with that plan of you know, Mr. Lippian usurping some of my award. No, I would have no problem with that.
Okay. So it seems Mr. Schneider's looking, you know, as far as the balance at this point for would appear to be B2. Mr. Lippian, do you have any other comments in regards to what you've been proposing?
Through you, Mr. President. No, just that to the phrase usurping, I take umbrage. I take severe umbrage to the suggestion of a usurpation, but I'm glad to hear that you don't have a problem with it. Mr. Corbin, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Scott, do you have any other comments you want to relay or?
Through you, thank you. We are available if you have any questions or concerns. I just highly encourage you to take a look at this, and if anything does come up or arises, you know how to get a hold of me, and if it's something that I'm not able to answer, then Mr. Johnson will be available as well.
Yeah. Johnson, we appreciate you coming back out. I know this is, honestly, I got to be honest, I didn't realize you were coming from California to make this presentation, so we appreciate your travels across the country here doing this, but we appreciate what you did and are doing for to kind of redistrict these, consider these redistricting the boundaries. So With that being said, Mr. Lippian?
Through you, Mr. President, just one closing comment. That was sarcasm for the record. Okay, my last comment. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I might,
Yes.
just for clarity of the record, just the conversation you just had about B2, it could be A2 or B2. The conversation between ward members is just about the two change. It would work for either. It's the same change in A2 and B2.
Sure, okay, very good. All right.
Seeing no further questions, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Second by,
Question.
hold up a second, I
There's a
want to make sure. Ms. Lippert, did you have another question, or you're good?
No, I was seconding Ms.
Okay.
Mitchell's motion.
So there's been a motion by Ms. Mitchell, second by Mr.
Mr.
Lippian.
Sarah has his hand
Oh,
up.
sorry.
Do we want to take care of the meeting minutes from the past that we haven't done yet? It's on my agenda.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, strategic planning minutes,
Do we need a motion for the accepting of the planning minutes?
I would say yes.
There's a motion by Ms. Mitchell, second by Mr., since he brought it up, Mr. Sarah. Is
Question.
there any further discussion? Question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
So I made a motion to adjourn. Mr. Lippian, second.
Motion by Ms. Mitchell, by Mr. Lippian. Any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you.
Yeah, they got a good one. Yeah, see ya, man. Hey, we took the call. It's there. I didn't know.
I seen it.
Oh, you saw it? You already there?
I had to run. Stop on over here.